This is episode 246. It's not as good because you spent less money.
This is another one that actually contains more than just our personal stories.
There's a lot of those, but
there's a lot of those, but stick it out. It's a good one. All right. Or it's, I mean, whatever. The point is, it's about
I think it's a good
stuff.
one.
I think it's a good one. I always say that, and then I immediately feel like I'm self-praising.
Oh wait,
myself.
was it actually bad? I forgot.
Am I just invisible to that? Like, do I not know that I'm bad? Okay, well, I think it's a pretty good episode. Check it out. It's the tone control.
There we go. Okay.
Fuck. Boom.
He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Well, to the listener, this is a totally normal,
an
unaltered amount of time that I've been gone.
Yeah, nothing unusual
nothing
here. We're
unusual.
here. It's just a rare Wednesday edition of the Tone Control.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
like this little midweek reset.
It is. It's like very on Wednesday. Derek's picture's very clear.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. It's just Wednesdays are great. We really should move.
Wednesdays are a good day.
I'm assuming everything's going to be just fine and normal with this. We're doing this episode in general chat too, so that any riffraff can wander in. Mm-hmm. I definitely didn't remember to. I didn't think to bring this up until it was probably much too late to actually get anybody
to promote it.
To promote it properly. So
yeah, that's how we do though.
Yeah, I don't know. So I just got back from California for a week. Was a week there, and I'm hoping that my picture is small enough that I have like peely skin because San Francisco tricked me on the very first day and sunburned me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I'm not gross for YouTube.
No, you look fine.
Whatever. Okay, great. This is why we have little pictures.
You're glowing.
I have so many, like, it's such a crazy place that I have so many weird stories, and I'm really going to try to keep it under control and have it be an actual podcast instead of just.
I mean, save a few. We can sprinkle these throughout future episodes. Since you have a lot to probably talk about, that's way more interesting than anything I have to talk about.
Wow.
I mean, I'll hit you with some real quick. What's been happening here? Shit. Your boy got strep and is on antibiotics right now. So, and turns out I've never had strep before this moment. So,
really?
This is a first time experience. Yeah, it was bad like early last week.
Yeah.
I was like feeling pretty down, fever up and down, felt like you're swallowing razor blades, really bad feel. Thought it was kind of getting better, kind of wasn't, kind of really varied a lot throughout the day. Finally, like took a peek in my mouth with a flashlight and was like, oh.
Horrified.
Yeah. Had Beth look and she was like, yikes. So off to urgent care I went.
Oh boy.
And got the strep.
Uh-huh.
Feeling good now.
Are you allergic to
antibiotics? Yeah.
Amoxicillins? Yeah. So they probably have
penicillins.
Yeah.
So I'm on something else. I forget what it's called, but it's working. Feeling good. Feeling normal.
Okay. That's good. Got
like 2 days left of my antibiotic run.
So you should be on the up of it.
Oh yeah. I started feeling much better like 24 hours later. Like they just started working immediately. So in other news, this is my fourth seltzer of today.
Yeah.
Is that a lot? I don't know. It feels like a lot for
I don't
me,
know.
but it's just that thing. Like you're not supposed to drink alcohol while on antibiotics. So I'm like,
okay. No, I don't think anybody.
It's seltzer season.
I don't think anybody's ever told me that. I'm trying to think. Have I ever? I feel like usually when I'm on antibiotics, I'm not feeling like drinking anyway. So it's never been an issue.
Here I am right at like day 5.5 or something like that. And like, I could go for a little drink, but no, I kind of shouldn't. But whatever, not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just Seltzer City over here.
Well, seltzer's great. Seltzer's helped me dramatically through my I don't know, what do I kind of losing some weight over the last 6 or 8 months. It's no small part of that. Just having a fancy drink that actually doesn't make you fat.
Right. He said sipping a
seltzer.
Okay.
Yeah. Mandarin orange flavor. This particular one.
I've got the I splurged a little. I got the fancy polars. I got starfruit lemonade over here.
Oh shit! How exotic!
They're so good. They're so good.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you're one of those people that's like, oh, flavored seltzer tastes like somebody shouted the name of a fruit across the hall or something. Like, I don't know. Try again. Like, they've come a long way.
Try again, you dum-dum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The polar, Eric's saying in the chat, the polar pink apple lemon, that shit is insane. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've gotten into the flavors, yeah. And by the way, in the chat, there is a chat for, sorry, I have like apple skin. Okay. So, the thing I was about to say, the chat that's in the voice channel, I can only see if I look up in time before the message goes away, but I can't pop out that chat or it'll mess up my video feed. So if you want me to see a message,
I'll keep you posted
permanently, Derek will keep it. All right, fine, that's fine. We'll let that happen.
Real quick, don't want to take a ton of time on this other thing, I guess, but Jack is walking.
Yeah, I saw a video.
A load of first steps over the last week, or about a week. Mm-hmm. So that's just fucking happening. He's just like walking around and kind of going like,
he's like, so this is what you were supposed to do the whole time.
Yeah. He's like so like impressed with himself, which is just the best. We have this really funny picture of him where he's standing and he's like got his arms out and he's just like, wow.
He's like, I can do almost anything with these while moving. Yeah.
Yeah. And
amazing.
I got to post it in the chat because it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find it. Send.
There
it goes.
There he is. That is so exactly. That is exactly what he's thinking.
He's like, look at me. Look at these.
That's absolutely
I can stand up.
Amazing.
I can move around.
Can I put
I'm free to use my hands for whatever.
Can I put him on the show? I think I can. Hold on. Open in browser. Yeah, bam. Oh, look at this. We can put Jack right on the show.
He's like, whoa. This is so great. Yeah.
So this is what you guys feel like all the time?
He's like, I'm twice as tall. Everything's so far away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Overalls.
That's the overalls with like the tank underneath. He's looking like a friggin' farmer. He's like a Dust Bowl farmer.
He's ready. He's beholding his radishes ready to harvest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A bountiful season. I don't. Oh my God.
All right, you go. That's all I got going on. You go.
Oh my God. I've got all right. So most recently, like right before I came out here, we got back at 4 a.m. We got back to our house because of just the way. I mean, for one thing, you're coming back from the West Coast to the East. It's you're never getting out of that unscathed. But yeah, I mean, we had a flight that we left in the afternoon. So we got in, plus losing 3 hours. It was like 1 something when we got back, and had a drive from the airport. So 4 a.m, we said, we're going to try to unjet lag as quickly as possible, right? So you're supposed to just get yourself right. So we set an alarm for 9, which would be normally sleeping in, for us. But
yeah, but like still morning.
Yeah. So we were definitely in bed till at least 10:30 before we were able to prep, because it was awful. It was awful. But then today I really should have prepared more sooner, but because of where this trip fell. So I'm taking on a course at the university this fall, which is to say Tuesday is the first day of the class, the day after the
taking on a course as in not as a student.
Not as a student, no.
To clarify, yeah.
Right. A colleague, the guy who owns the monastery studio, asked me kind of a long time ago at this point if I would cover a class for him this semester. He's covering some things. Department chair is going anyway, so he's covering and I'm filling in for him. And I was like kind of petrified. And Marielle was like, "Oh, you should totally do it. You're going to be an adjunct professor at what's legitimately like a prestigious music college here." And so then it was sort of like this thing that's going to happen someday for a long time. And then I went prestigious music college guitar sitter. You asshole. The Cincinnati Conservatory of Music is a fairly renowned thing. So the course is teaching sound reinforcement and it's like an intro course. It's basically a section of jazz students. I actually have graduate and undergraduate in the same. It's two sections, but it's the same class. So there's two sections. Okay. Anyway, whatever. If you academic people know what I mean, there's two sections, but they're taught at the same time in the same room.
Okay.
So anyway, it's not like a big deal, and it's like obviously like this is a subject matter that's very elementary.
Well, it's a big deal for you, someone who's not in academia.
Right. That's the part of it I'm sweating. So when I say like I'm having imposter syndrome, it's like I've taught people things, like I've done lessons or people have asked for coaching on recording and any kind of things like to do with that, microphones and everything else. But on a one-on-one scenario, nothing that had a syllabus or anything like that. So I'm like,
so can you, I was just going to ask, can you use lesson plans from your friend who?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it sounds like it's pretty straightforward kind of thing. Really, like I'm getting these students to where they can take a PA system from totally unassembled to set up and rung out and then to disassembled again. Like that's that's sort of like the final exam at the end. I'm going to like have them take it through one by one kind of thing.
Nice.
And then there's sort of some fundamentals and things that we kind of cover. So these guys are getting a degree. Can you get a degree in that?
You get a degree in PA assembly.
They're getting a degree in jazz performance. I'm just, as a requirement of their degree, they have to know at least the basics of using a microphone. This is literally like for many of them, this might be the only sound technology course that they have to have. So I'm expecting, I'm going to meet with him in a couple of days and he's going to give me his lessons plan. But this is all like so kind of late. And today there was like an orientation that I just barely made. And I'm like starting to go over, I'm like being hired by the university and going through all this stuff about, it's like I have to sign in and I have a user ID and I'm getting a badge and I have to figure out parking and it's because it's a giant university and I don't know, Marielle's like, where's your classroom? And I'm like, what, how am I?
What the fuck? How should I know that?
I don't fucking know that. Like I'm going to meet with Rich in a couple of days and I'm going to have the weekend to figure out what my first week is going to be like kind of thing, and
he'll be fine.
He's that's what he keeps saying to me. He's like, you're going to be great at this. It's going to be no big deal. And then like I go through like just
it's all the technical
paperwork.
Stuff. Yeah. It's all the technical mumbo jumbo of like annoying things like where do I park my car? Yeah. And where's the building? Like, where do I have to physically be? And college campuses they can be confusing places, especially for a newcomer. If you haven't spent a lot of time there, I get that. Yeah. So, I know, I think you're going to do great.
I know a lot of people who like work in the building just by virtue of who we know around here. And one of our friends literally used to be in the kind of one of the directors of staff in the music college. She switched to a different job at UC now, but like she's gonna like be there, and I could wander in and have like a lunch, and she could show me around the building and stuff like that. Yeah. It's gonna be fine. It's just very strange, and it's all happening so suddenly. And then like I'm doing this orientation thing on Zoom, and the kids coming home, and Marielle picks up a pizza. She's like, we don't have any food in the house because we got back.
Yeah, because you came back from vacation.
Catching up a couple of work things and just going through all this UC crap that I'm practically late for. UC being University of Cincinnati. And then she gets a pizza. So here's what fucking happens. She's ordering it like while she's driving back from this thing that Aria had to go to today. And she's like in a traffic jam. And so she orders Pizza Hut on her phone. Okay, in a traffic jam. Okay. So she gets home. This pizza she ordered, at some point they asked her what sauce she wanted. Okay.
Sure.
And it's because we live in a world where some people think pizza could have some sauce on it other than pizza sauce. So I'm tipping my hand or my opinion a little bit there, but that's the world we live in. My wife's one of the people. She's part of the problem. She occasionally orders something that she calls a white pizza, and it just means it doesn't have sauce on it, or it's got something else.
It has a different other kind of sauce. So, around here, like if you order a barbecue chicken pizza, a lot of times they give you the choice if you want a barbecue sauce base or a marinara base.
Yeah. Well,
the answer is marinara.
The answer is marinara. So here's the thing. If those other foods need to exist, then they need a name. That name is something other than pizza. Because if you order pizza, it's pizza dough, it's marinara, and it's cheese, and then whatever other toppings. If it's something else other than that, it's not a pizza, and it's some other savory pizza pie kind of thing, but it's not a pizza.
We'll call it a flatbread. It's a flatbread.
Sure, it's a fucking flatbread.
It's a fucking flatbread.
Alfredo sauce. Yeah, that's another one. So anyway, my wife's part of the fucking problem. But anyway, she thinks apparently that they're asking her about a dipping sauce, which is not something Pizza Hut does, by the way. And so she tells them she would love to have the garlic butter sauce. Oh. So she gets home a pizza, which, by the way, the topping she chose was pineapples. Which is fine. I love pineapple on a pizza.
I'm here for that. Yeah.
A pineapple that's been in the oven is actually one of the best fruits ever, and it's good on almost anything. And it's a very savory fruit. Anyway, this is the most disgusting thing I have ever tasted. She's like, I made a mistake. Aria apparently ate like at least a slice of this with them before I got done with the thing. So I tried like a bite of it, and it's like, the only way to make a pizza that has garlic butter sauce instead of marinara worse is pineapple. Like, it was the worst topping. Anything else would have been less bad. But it's inedible. It's inedible. So I was like, there's no food in this house. I found an apple, and I was like, oh, well, good thing apples last forever. And I ate an apple before coming out here. Good God.
Good Lord.
The worst fucking thing. The worst pizza I have.
That sounds horrible, because it's basically like a breadstick at that point with a pineapple on it.
But it's like,
there's no pizza sauce. It's just like bread and garlic butter.
And the garlic butter is kind of a little heavy-handed. It would be probably
it's
good.
Pizza Hut garlic butter.
Yeah. It's like really, I mean, right? And then the pineapple just kind of, it doesn't go. It doesn't go. And it's absolutely awful. So that horror, oh my God.
So here's the thing about pineapple on pizza, and then we can put this to bed after that.
And then I promise we'll say at least one guitar thing before I start rambling about something else.
Pineapple on pizza is good. Yeah. And however, it is also fun to make fun of. Like, it can be both things.
I think
it is to me, it is much like Nickelback, right? Nickelback is out here just living their life, right? Yeah. Pizza with pineapple on it is just doing its thing. Right. And the world is like, hey, fuck you. and
so fuck you for being,
just for existing, right? And then like, what did Nickelback do to deserve this? Fucking nothing. But here we are making fun of them all the time, right? And the same is true for pineapple on pizza. Yeah. End of story.
Yeah. So if you ever have an opportunity to order a pizza with garlic butter sauce, don't put pineapple on it. And also, that's not a pizza. And you're part of the problem. But anyway.
The pizza place that's just opened near us that's really good, called The Ricochet, has t-shirts that say legalize marinara. I like that a lot. And they do a really good pizza. So anyway.
Yeah.
Let's hit into these show notes, shall we?
All right, let's do something. What the fuck is this?
It's the one.
Yep.
Look what came in the mail today, dude.
Oh shit, they're already at your place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I messaged Hank and I was like, hey man, wondering if, we're doing this giveaway and we would like to have Rattlesnake be a part of it. I'm wondering if you could, if you wouldn't mind like throwing us a coupon so we could buy a cable and make it part of our giveaway. Totally not expecting a whole lot.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll do you one better. How about 2 cables on the house? and we'll send them out to you right now. And so that was like Monday, and then they got here today from Montana.
Because he's
so
like
2 days. Yeah,
he's like on it.
So he's fucking on it. And so then they come in, and they're like the good rattlesnake cables. I thought maybe like, oh, he's gonna send us like maybe the unwrapped ones that are just a little plain.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Which are still good cables.
Right. These are the
Diamondback.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got a cool snaky pattern. It sounds like this. Okay.
Oh, I heard that for an instant, and then Discord was like, "Oh no, we're not having any of that sound."
Yeah, it's got like this cool weave. It's like a snake diamondback weave, and then this other copper colored one that is great. Absolutely. They have Neutrik connectors. They have one right angle and one straight plug.
Those are gonna make you big again. There we go.
Those are going to be awesome up against the corner of that RevStar because it's a side jack. It comes with these awesome friggin' bags that like find me a musician that doesn't need a bag to put some stuff in.
Yeah.
So you're getting 2 of these. You're getting a notepad from Hank that says, "Good luck on the giveaway. We threw in a few extra things, Hank." And he sure did. He threw in a sticker pack, a cool rattlesnake cable sticker pack that's going to you. And then these pedal labels, stickers. So you don't have to like Sharpie up your or tape down your knobs or anything. You put these on your pedal, and it's just a little like a clock face, and you just like draw a line with a pen where you want the knob set. So you don't have to you can just stick something to your pedal rather than marking it up.
Oh, right.
Pretty rad, huh? So all of that is now part of the Tone Control 10-year giveaway anniversary. Yeah. So we've got a guitar. We've got 2 wicked cables and some stickers and stuff. There's some pedals coming. More on that soon.
Yep.
Get on the newsletter.
Get on the newsletter, which is, I'm showing right here. So the link is in the podcast notes. It's not an easy link to say, but it goes right to this newsletter. So just find the link. Because here's the thing. Like, here's what I'm starting to learn because I noticed this about myself. It's a cold day in hell that I type a web link into my browser. Like, unless you have a like oneword.com, I don't care. I'm going to Google it instead. Even if I know the link, I'm pretty much good. You know what I mean? So or I'm just going to go somewhere like I've had things where I know how to find it, but then I go to somebody's YouTube channel and look in their description and click their link anyway. No, I don't know. I just think like, and I noticed that, and I said, I'm going to stop sweating this weird epearl.com which is what the link is. It's like nothing. So it's right there. If you're listening to this show or viewing this show on YouTube.
I can give you a little inside baseball on this. It's because our MailChimp, our mailing list is hosted by MailChimp.
Yeah.
And it's EEP URL, as in like eep eep, like the sound a chimp might make. So, you know. Okay. Just throwing that out there.
It's probably because we're not spending any of our precious giveaway money on MailChimp's higher tiered programs.
Right. Like custom links. Here's how easy it is to get on the mailing list. It's just your email address and then your name. That's all we need.
Yeah.
If you win, we'll contact you, and then we'll sort out like shipping and mailing and all that garbage later.
Yeah.
But we don't need your address. We don't need anything like that. Just email and your name, and you're in.
Yeah. And, the fine print is there isn't much fine print. We have to be able to get this stuff to you. So it's probably continental US, but like, look, if somebody else won, we'll try our best, but we'll have to get with you, and we may need your help because the show doesn't make money. We're just doing this for fun. And this is a very high roll thing that something we do for fun is able to do. I'm thrilled, but so
me too.
I would love to not put restrictions on it. It's just going to come down to if we'll just talk about whatever happens. But most listeners are in the United States, and it's probably going to be just fine. So we're of course we're sharing your info only with the giveaway partners.
Which is only Rattlesnake and Copper Sound. So we're going to be working with Copper Sound on something soon. Yeah. Details are coming on that. So it's not going to Yamaha.
Yamaha doesn't give a shit.
No, nor does Sweetwater. So like, it's not going to them. It's just like I said to Hank, who was on the show, like you can go, he's in the server and stuff, like he's around. So you're going to want to be on that list anyway.
No, just disclosing. Just disclosing. It's fine.
Just disclosing. But I'm just saying, like, if you're not on the mailing list for Rattlesnake and Copper Sound, you should be anyway, because they are constantly sending cool deals and coupons and sales and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
just saying. And they're not. They don't email like crazy. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Fucking A. Okay, so here's here's a quick little story snippet. So on our flight back, we had a connection in Phoenix. So we went San Francisco to Phoenix, which took an hour and a half or something like that. And we noticed partway through the flight, there was a bit of a fuss at the front of the plane, and they got something, they were helping somebody, and they got something out of the overhead bin. I could tell something was going on, but they weren't really telling us what was going on. And then they said, once we got over the mountains, so Phoenix is kind of surrounded by mountains, and it causes a little chop. Like if you fly into Phoenix, there's just a little chop on the way down. It's not a big deal. Totally normal stuff. Once we clear those mountains and we start the descent, they come on and tell us that we're sort of waved ahead for landing because there's a medical emergency. So,
oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the sort of thing where they might have diverted us, but I don't think there was really anywhere closer than Phoenix anyway, and we were most of the way there. It's that kind of thing. So that's my presumption. But basically, we're being waved, everybody's circling, and we're just going to go right through, even if we weren't first in line kind of thing. And they said to everybody, like the persons at the front of the plane, like, please, when we get there, we're going to taxi on quick. We're going to get down to the ground, taxi in, and please remain in your seats. There's going to be paramedics at the gate for us. And once that situation's resolved, we're going to let you off the plane. So Marielle and I are looking at each other, and it's like, okay, test humanity, right?
Oh, it is. Yes.
Yes. So what do you think, Derek? Like, so we get to the gate, we taxi in there. There's a plane. It's a 100% full flight. There's about 175 people on this 737. What do you think? How many people do you think didn't stand up immediately?
How many people did not stand up immediately?
How many people followed their directions and did not stand up immediately? And how many people actually waited for this emergency to be resolved?
10% or less.
Yeah, I think that's what Marielle was thinking. I kind of thought we might do a little better than that. And so did the lady sitting next to us. We were completely shocked. No, 100% success.
No, 100% success.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone stays in their seats.
I don't even know what to say. Like, this is unbelievable.
There's some
because you're so expecting
170-ish people fit on a 737, and everyone stayed sitting and just waited patiently.
Way to go.
There was one kid that was like, murmur, and I heard the mom like, we have to wait. And that was like it.
I mean, and honestly, a kid, I get it. Kids are allowed.
Yeah. This kid was probably
it's totally allowed to be just like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'd be in that seat also like, oh, I need to get off this plane. I hate flying, not because of a fear of it, because it's so severely uncomfortable.
It's so because it sucks,
because it just fucking sucks. As a tall person, it sucks. So anyway,
yeah,
that's great. What we amazing news!
Yeah.
Wow,
cool.
Well, hopefully that person's okay.
I got they weren't too frantic about anything. If I had to guess, maybe I would honestly say it was maybe a diabetic thing.
Okay.
Just because everybody was pretty calm, because they got something out of the bin too, which I assumed was needed medication, and they probably just, because it's a commercial flight, you'd probably need to be checked out anyway, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow. But I imagine everybody was okay, and they didn't seem to be in a huge rush, but they probably did kind of cart the person out of there. So yeah.
Well, what a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Way to go, humanity.
Yeah.
What now?
I don't know. Should we talk about another thing?
Yeah, want to talk about Kemper?
Let's talk about Kemper. Let me play something crazy. Let's play this one. Cool. So, Kemper.
Look at this thing.
Look at this fucking chameleon. Weren't we just, like last episode, or was it a discussion in Discord? Now everything's bleeding together for me. I can't remember. But sometime recently we were talking about sort of like the way this like, decade-long culture of modeling amps, right? How it was like Line 6 at first was sort of like these, they were sort of the babies of it. They were kind of inventing it, but it was kind of a toy. It wasn't that good.
A little novelty, yeah.
Yeah. And then I feel like, I can't remember if Kemper came along next or Fractal.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Fractal's I don't know. I was just going to say they're a smaller company, but that might not be true.
But they're one of the three pillars over here, though. But that's true. But Fractal shows up. I feel like Fractal
shows up though with like insane different technology.
Exactly.
Like the profiling thing.
And it really got the attention of like the professional market, I feel like. Which kind of changed a lot significantly. And that's when I started seeing it talked about in a legitimate, not toy way, you know?
Yeah. I guess for the uninitiated, what we're talking profiling turns out is a trademark of Kemper. I just learned that today. So we're talking about profiles. That is a Kemper
other
term
companies
specifically.
can't use that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about amp modeling and stuff with things like Helix or Quad Cortex or AxeFX, that's software doing its thing, making up what the amp sounds like based on lots of models and stuff from the manufacturers and all that stuff. Kemper does that sort of, but the way it does it is it sends a signal to the real version of that amp, like of an amp in your home or something, and then through microphones and all kinds of fuckery, it listens back to the difference from the signal it sent to the signal it receives and approximates how that amp sounds in real life. And it's incredibly accurate.
Yeah. It's really like it's not unlike a impulse response, like the way current models, typically that's how a speaker is done at the end of the model, although you could do it really at any stage of the model. But the thing about an impulse response is it's static. It's essentially like one sort of set of settings, right? And what Kemper kind of started or pioneered, I guess, was making something that was sampled in many different ways with different settings, and to create this thing that was not static, this thing that would behave like the real amp, including the amp's controls, not just creating This is the important part. Okay.
This is the important part. Including the amp's controls is now what's included. So this liquid profiling that we're talking about is that it is no longer a blank sort of 3-band EQ, drive knob, whatever. So from what I'm understanding, I don't know Kemper all that well. I've never tried one, but I got the impression that until now, the amp models had sort of all the same, not models, the profiles all had all the same tone stack, right? And they would interact all the same way because it's doing it via the software.
Yeah.
So now
it would take a few samples. Like it would take a kind of a low gain sample and a high gain sample and maybe a couple of other things. It would do sweeps and it would do noise blasts, and it was clever. This allows for the specific responsiveness of the controls of that amp be modeled in the hardware. So like for example, like if when you turn the gain all the way up, maybe the bass cuts out a lot, right? In this, and whatever amp you're doing. That's like a thing that amp happens to do.
Right. And so now that is profilable. Mm-hmm. It's a model of the amp's tone controls, over on top of like the corresponding profile of that same amp. So nuances and subtleties are just like, this is, we're at a different level of cork sniffing, maybe? I don't know.
Well, I think, I have felt like,
it's not cork sniffing. Like, this is a real thing.
Yeah. As complex as Kemper always was, it was a little bit limited in that way, right? They are kind of like, you do have to kind of make a profile of what you, like if you wanted to profile the EQ curve of your particular amp, you would have to do that EQ curve on the amp and then profile it, then take it through the process. And then you can't change, you know what I mean?
And profiling,
it was a bit limited that way.
Profiling, it's you're only as good as your captures kind of thing. So like, they're all equipped to do it with a microphone and cables and whatever. But you really should be set up in a studio environment with proper mic placement and cabinets and all that kind of stuff to get the real thing. So, yeah, I could do it here in my basement or something, but is it going to be good? No. It's because I don't have a studio, right? It's because I don't know that kind of stuff and I don't know what I'm doing. So, here comes, right, the shareable aftermarket part of all of this too, which is already crazy with Kemper, right? You can already download a profile of so-and-so's actual 59 basement or something like that. But now it's going to have this relationship between the tone stack available to you as well.
Yeah.
Making it even more real. I am excited about this. This is one of those things I wanted to bother to put in the show notes, which listeners know we've been struggling with. It's because this is another one of those big steps in this sort of tech.
Yeah, yeah.
That it's a different idea, and it brings Kemper up to speed a little bit. I think there's been software updates and stuff over the years, but
I think it's been a little behind.
It's been a little bit so what's next for you guys?
Yeah, because once amp modeling, once Fractal was really good, and then Line 6 kind of caught up. Yeah. And became not a toy. And this is years ago now. I'm not saying this just happened or something. Now we've got, these two big, great sounding things. It makes the Kemper feel very limited. While it's a very, very accurate way of saying, I have this golden amp. It was a studio tool, right? Because if you have this golden amp, now you don't have to cart it around with you. Or if you're a studio and you own a Kemper, you're profiling who knows how many famous amps that might come through your studio.
Definitely.
And there's no reason I don't think that they couldn't have shared profiles. But they never had this flexibility. They were basically doing these little, it's I always thought it was like a tone preset. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you had we have, this Marshall Silver Jubilee edition with the gain on 7. That's what I have a model of.
Yeah, I think that's true. But then there's also there are the controls on the Kemper that account for that. So there is the EQ stage, and it asks you to A/B between the real amp and the Kemper profile and make minor adjustments and stuff.
Right.
And then it re-samples and all that.
It's part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's been some people that I don't know a ton about this, but I've heard about people kind of hacking the Kemper, so to speak, a bad term, but where the Kemper understands that it's getting a low gain signal, but you're giving it a high gain signal or something like that.
Exactly.
And it turns it into this, I asked this question a long time ago, how far away are we from getting guitar tones that are not achievable in analog gear? And that's the kind of thing that does that.
That's what I'd heard of is people who were, it seemed to be the crowd who was doing really heavy metal stuff, and especially kind of bedroom produced heavy metal, like programmed drums, programmed bass, sometimes even programmed guitar, where you're using sort of a virtual instrument that it sounds like a DI'd guitar, but you're playing it through an amp sim, and people using a Kemper, and that's what they did. They basically profiled the Kemper with the gain the wrong way kind of thing, and then turned up Kemper's gain, to make this thing that can't exist.
Sound.
Yeah, it's this is based on my triple rec, but it was modeled on the triple rec clean tone, and then or whatever it was. It was
whatever.
The gains
I
on
don't know
5.
how you do it, but it's right, this super ultra version of whatever sound. So
or it was
crazy.
Something else, they would absolutely dime it and then roll the gain back on Kemper or something like that.
Something
see what
like that
got them, because you're. And I can only sort of speculate on what's causing that, what Kemper is understanding about that. But yeah, that's what it is. It's hacking that system. But this, so does this kind of replace the old system for modeling, or
I don't
does
know.
it complicate it more?
I think it's an added option. I think it's just now you can do this too. So
some reverbs started doing this. You've heard of, I don't know if this has come up in guitar world, but hybrid reverbs, because previously there was impulse response reverbs actually measuring a space and then applying that the same way you do a speaker cab to an amp sim. And then there was algorithmic reverbs. which were sort of created by settings. So the same thing is going to happen to a sound when it passes through, but we're just sort of generating it in software. And those were kind of the two basic types. And then eventually we had these hybrid reverbs, and I've seen several come along now where it's like that. It's like a combination of starting from or incorporating somehow an impulse response of a real space, but then melding that with the algorithmic ability to change aspects of it. And
wow,
you know what I mean? So there's kind of separating early reflections from the rest of the reverb tail, and then being able to manipulate those separately the way you can with an algorithmic reverb. So then you could take that and model, a plate reverb or a spring reverb, and then apply the same twisty things, because that's a mechanical device that you would never actually be able to do these things with. You're hacking it with this sort of software stuff. So
yeah,
kind of neat.
Right. Yeah. Very neat. I like that. So yeah, liquid profiling. I don't know why it's called that. I think it's kind of a silly name, but whatever.
They had to come up with something they could trademark again, right?
I guess, yeah. Check that out. It's out in public beta right now.
In public beta. So, so we just went to Kemper's site. So the chameleon, find the chameleon on Kemper's site, and you'll know where you are. Oh my God. So
42 minutes-ish, right? And what do you want to do? Do you want another story time? You want to take a little detour into...
There's so much. Do you guys want to hear about a place, or do you guys want to hear about this fucking car we rented while we were out there? Because they're both bananas.
I want to hear about a place. Let's do a place.
Okay. Well, gosh. So this is the thing, is out we went in and out of San Francisco, and we also saw Sonoma, which is like wine country, but it's not Napa, not overrun with tourists, which was great. And then also went to Lake Tahoe, which is also great. And I feel like, it's not New Zealand, but it's like how different the climates and the landscapes and everything are over just a short, these things are like 3.5 hour drive from each other.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like another planet.
We're going over, so basically clear across California, because Lake Tahoe is right on the border. Half of it's in Nevada, and I don't know. Where to start? We saw the redwoods at Muir Woods, which is Endor.
Yep.
Turns out not literally Endor, because they actually filmed in Redwood Forest.
It's up at the Redwood,
but
it's essentially the same thing, and you get the vibe. I've been to Muir Woods.
Oh, I have so many pictures.
Yeah, it's a fun place. It's intimidatingly beautiful.
Yeah. And we managed to find some moments where we were kind of away from everybody and could just experience the silence of it all. It was...
See, that's the thing. Like, I hate that around here in New Hampshire. It's a beautiful state. There's lots of great outdoor activities. But at any moment, you're listening to some motorcycle just friggin' ripping it 40 miles away. And I just... right? And I just don't... I so often want to be somewhere and experience that without the like in the background.
Yeah.
Because it just takes me out of the moment a little bit.
Yeah. And in Muir Woods, it's a really nice walk. There was a lot of people there, but it's like they're all here for the same reason I am. You can't like tell people not to be here. It was a little annoying because there's like a section toward the back that specifically says like it's like the cathedral grounds or something. Like they name certain sections where the certain trees have grown, and it says this is like the quiet area. Enter quietly, it says. And there was plenty of people there that I think like, they would have needed that sign in Spanish to understand it. And they're like talking on their phone at full volume. And,
that is when I was at urgent care, somebody was FaceTiming on speaker in public, and I wanted to just,
it's just like,
I wanted to commit a crime. Like,
so I was gone. I didn't see any of my kids, right. For like a week. So we FaceTimed Aria a few minutes each day, and often we're in some public place or whatever, but like we turn the volume down just as quiet as we can. We can still hear her. I'm so thinking about it. And it's so, it's strange to me to imagine being the sort of person who doesn't think about how they're
think about their own surroundings.
How do they think about how their being is impacting their surroundings? It's bizarre to me, but people like literally just being super loud all the time and like people just like kind of walking through you, like you're on a path and they don't even slightly move because they're just talking at full volume to whoever they're with or on the phone, or just they have a phone call. Derek, do you put the phone to your ear when you're on a phone call?
Yeah, I do.
Like it's a phone call by yourself, like nobody else is listening. It's just you, but you keep it to your ear,
in
right?
fact, I hate being on speaker even in private. Like I just hate, if I need my hands, it's the only time I do it.
It's the only time. But like there are people who by default, like unless there's some specific reason that they need to put that thing to their ear, they're on speakerphone all the time and they're just holding it up like this. They're not looking at it.
Just like it's just out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just... and so there's people here. I see people do that all the time. It's like one of these things that I can't imagine being that sort of person. And I'm in California and I saw people from all kinds of cultures speaking all kinds of different languages. And several of, I saw a representative from basically every hemisphere fucking doing this. And I'm like, well, it's not an American thing.
The ultimate. Yeah.
I guess it's not an American thing.
I hate it. It's the like, the elevator door opens and you don't move out of the way, or like you get to the top of the escalator,
letting people off first, and
like you get to the top of the escalator and people just stand there.
Stop!
Like,
oh my God!
Move!
At the airport yesterday, it was one of those long walking. It's not even an escalator.
Oh yeah, the movable sidewalk.
And this old guy, and he's like walking along, and he gets to the end and fucking fully stops.
Oh.
And we both almost took him out. Like he could have been injured. He was kind of old. He could have been injured. We almost took him right out. And like, not even because we kept walking, because he was that close to the end that we just had momentum, anyway. Oh my God. So, but Muirwoods, we did find it. We walked far enough into the back and then there was almost nobody left. They hadn't taken their kids that far in. And excellent. I'm not a person, I don't take like a shitload of pictures on a trip usually, but I have so many pictures of Muirwoods. I couldn't help it. It was just, it's amazing. And the way the trees, besides the organism itself is just so wild, but then they're so ancient that they are befallen by tragedy.
Yeah.
Almost all the time because they live they're 2,000-year-old trees in that forest. So like, at some point, something destroyed that tree. But what this organism does is its trunk gets destroyed and then like 7 or 9 new plants grow up out of its roots. So you get this ring that's almost like a crown. And then that grows for 1,000 years and they're hundreds of feet tall. And that's what we see. We see this decimated trunk and surrounded by these giant monstrous trees. It's like, oh my God, like this is like...
It puts all of that into perspective of how little you matter, right? Yeah. And like...
I know. And at the same time, like the trees that are close enough to the path that people touch them and the bark's all smoothed over, and then the ones that are just a little too far away and they have a totally different texture to them. And it's like, I mean, that's as little as I matter. That's what's happened, in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Of this 2,000-year-old tree,
Just a blip. Yeah. We went there and then we went to Sequoia National Park as well when we were in California.
Yeah.
And the sequoias are like the redwoods are taller.
The sequoias are thicker.
But the sequoias are all around thick. Yeah. Like they are.
Those are the drive a car through that's the one where they have done that with it that you see a picture of. Yeah. I've seen a picture.
They're staggeringly large all around. Like it feels like because it is a living organism, but it feels like it's a mammal, sort of like it feels right. It's so large you can't help but feel like it is definitely alive, right?
Yeah.
And it is, instead of just like just a tree that's like in my neighborhood, it's just there. Right. This is something totally different. So it's outstanding. Very good.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff indeed. Oh, excuse me.
I have a fun question that I think I threw in the chat, and I want to ask it here.
Do you want to punctuate this with a sound?
Yeah.
All right. What do I do? Oh, here we go. Usually the long edits of these didn't make it onto the soundboard, but obviously that one's still in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. Since we mentioned pineapple pizza earlier, that's the Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, it's the Hawaiian pizza. Yeah.
From Caroline.
Ham is the input.
Ham might have improved this monstrosity, but it still wouldn't have been very good. Anywho.
Okay. So here's what happened. The other day, I'm like redoing my pedal board a little bit. Just like taking stuff off, putting stuff back on, cleaning it out, dog hair, dust, all that. Or I switched some pedals out and stuff. And I realized that I hate how dirty all of my guitar gear is. I hate it.
Oh.
It is like, it's a thing that I'm just like, I have a dog that sheds like crazy. So there's dog hair everywhere in the house, especially on Velcro and especially on pedal boards. So it's everywhere. So I'm like, when I take all my stuff apart and like do all that, I like vacuum it out and stuff because it's full of like dirt from shoes, but also dog hair.
Yeah.
And so I just asked the question in the chat, like, what's something that you hate about all of this? Like, what is something that you really hate about guitar? And I was like, mine is that I can't keep my shit clean. And it's always dusty. Even my most used gear is dusty and kind of has some like schmutz on it all the time. And it's not that I'm like neat freaky or anything like that, but I hate that there's just like constantly dog hair embedded into the fabric of my pedal board.
Do you think like
what's the thing?
And you know how a phone, like if it gets smudges, you have to like this is what I'm thinking of. It's like a phone, but that is like this little square rectangle, this little glass rectangle. That's a reasonable amount of item to keep clean and free of nasty. Your guitar gear is a much larger commitment if you're going to keep that all polished up, right? So
right, and I'm not like super concerned with keeping it like looking factory new or anything like that, but especially because so much guitar gear is black. Dude, I'll tell you, nothing attracts more dirt and dust than a Helix. It makes me insane. I don't know what it is about like the surface or if there's like a static charge situation and it's drawing dust and dog hair to it, but
it could be.
It is.
Corgi hair is very static responsive.
Yeah, so I threw this in the chat. Like, what's something you just fucking hate about guitar? And the answer cannot be the community. Because like that's the thing we would all pick.
Yeah.
So not just guitar in your case, but like, is there something about the stuff you do that you just like?
The stuff I do,
or guitar.
So I was gonna say like the thing that I think this is something that comes up on this podcast discussions quite a bit is like what's interesting, and sometimes the lack of what's interesting, right? So. But I think this is sort of like a necessary evil because it's a business.
Yeah.
So people have to, it's like this strange thing of capitalistic environments where, you know, stagnation for most people, like just staying the same isn't good enough. Right. And especially
I'm not
almost the bigger
going to tell anybody
is.
to stop. Yeah, you're not going to tell anybody to stop making pedals, right? To stop making new gear.
Yeah, right. But it's actually like if they are making new stuff, then that's cool. But it's the copies and stuff, and but it's like who's to blame? Like I find it really uninteresting that Orange Guitars made some pedals, and they're just like basic. You're sort of a few workhorse pedals, but that's super uninteresting. But why did they do that? You know, were they not doing well enough before? Did they need another product? Who is telling them that they need another product? And why is it a product that already exists out there? Why didn't, you know what I mean?
So similarly to that, like the flip side of that coin is that, and this is partly community related, I guess, but the copies of pedals and stuff, Origin Effects just put out a clone style drive. And it's all over my YouTube feed and stuff. And every other video is like, is this the greatest clone ever? You know, capital K clone ever. Yeah. And then you scroll back through the feed a month, not even. And there's some other pedal. Is this the greatest clone ever? And I can't stand that shit because it's like, well, you know, 3 weeks ago, this was the best one. So now what?
Yeah. So is each one like 0.5% better than the last one, or
and it just
does it not
right? So
matter?
like it can't be.
Right.
And there's like such a hair splitting aspect to it in this, like, why is that interesting? Like, how do you make a Klon style drive interesting now?
Uh-huh.
How do you make a tube screamer interesting? Can they be? I don't know. I don't care.
God.
So anyway,
Yeah.
the two things I hate the most about
I
that stuff's dirty and stop making pedals.
Yeah, I don't think there's like an answer, because like I said, like it's not that I don't think people should be in business.
Of course.
But then you have other, you have plenty of examples of people and companies that are doing interesting things and aren't just cloning something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fine line too, or maybe I should say it's a gradient. Like how copy does something have to be before it's a copy, or is it actually just your take on something and that's interesting?
Yeah. Right. In the clone conversation, it's always right. When it comes to certain pedals, if you're like, is this inspired by a thing? And it's like you made this dramatic change to it, or is it like you're going for accuracy?
The going for accurate. Okay, so if I was really now that you just said that phrase, it's that phrase. I think that helps me codify it. Like the thing that I actually hate about it is anytime somebody is going for accuracy, I sort of don't care. And I think expanding from guitar, like the recording industry and stuff is loaded with that shit, because everybody is trying to get the authentic sound of this piece of mic preamp or whatever the fuck. And it is always this splitting hairs thing. And it's like Waves has a copy of the API, whatever, and UAD does, and they sound different. So what am I, what do I do
it
with
sounds
that?
different, but like, this is that thing we've talked about a million times. We're getting into the weeds, but is it better or is it different?
Right.
And can you make them sound the same?
Right. And can I make them sound the same? And then, since I'm using this stuff not just for fun, the answer is always the one that I'm going to use is the one that is easier to use every time. So the one that has some, if this is a digital product, this is a software emulation, the one that has a feature like a digital output adjustment. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's going to change the sound. Or let's say they're emulating everything to the nth degree. It also drives me nuts when they emulate the hiss on stuff. Waves is kind of notorious for that, because like the hiss is kind of loud on some of the Waves emulations, whereas the UAD ones, if there's hiss in there, it is low. And I kind of think Waves is faking it. I kind of think they're putting that hiss in there to make you feel like it's more analog. There's no way because legit old high voltage gear like has very low self noise. That's what they were fucking struggling for back then, you know?
Yeah.
But like just have the ability to turn that off. If you're putting noise in there, I need to be able to switch that off. Yeah,
give me
exactly.
A hiss switch.
And one that doesn't change the sound, because I've literally read a manual on one of those Waves plugins, because you can turn the hiss off. Or here's the best one. One of them had a switch 60 hertz or 50 hertz or off, right?
Come on.
Like the hiss is going to be a little different if it's fuck you, first of all.
Fuck off.
Fuck you. Second of all, the off button, according to the manual, having those on affects the harmonics of the thing somehow. Like it affects the emulation, which it's either I don't believe you or that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Both are bad answers. So you've done a real bad job with this one. By the way, those are the Chris Lord algae plugins from Waves. Don't bother.
That is an insufferable idea. And like that's okay.
So okay, that annoys me. Because if you're copying something and you're not going for accuracy, then you're doing your take on something, and that's at least a little bit interesting most of the time. If you're doing this is super accurate, there's just
it's way more sustainable, because like there's way more people and ideas than there are distortion circuits.
Right, and because the going for accuracy, even about the clone, like I get that there's a specific thing that you're trying to achieve there, but like it's God, now I'm chasing myself in circles, because it almost makes more sense if it's a physical hardware unit. for some reason. I'm not saying it's like exonerated, but like because you actually, to have one of those and to use it right, you need to have a physical unit. Therefore, it's not just like it's been done, right? It's not software where somebody made the thing and then if everybody else is trying to emulate the same software, it's software. It has infinite there's no number of them and then you run out, right? But whereas with physical pedals, you actually do have to have a physical thing. I don't think that excuses it. But I don't know. It's slightly less bad, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm afraid this is rambling.
No, we went down a road I wasn't expecting, but like, I think it's still worth talking about because like, this is the stuff that makes doing a podcast for 10 years pretty difficult. And it makes it kind of like, like the Origin Effects, Klon thing is not going to be in the show and it's nothing to do with Origin. They make awesome stuff. It's just like, what am I going to say about it? And, they shot it out against a real Klon and AB, double blinded it and you can't tell. Just like all the other ones now.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. Like if you can't tell, or even if you can, but it's pretty close, that's good enough because what the noble goal would be, and now people can afford to have basically this effect.
Yeah.
As long as you're not some collector, right?
Yeah.
Or believe that you have golden ears or something like that. Because that's the value, because it's a physical unit, right, is accessibility. That could be the only possible value of actually trying to accurately replicate this thing.
Yeah, yeah. And like, God forbid we look at everything else in the signal path, right?
Yeah. But for like tube screamery kind of things that there's like 1,000 copies of, but there was also a bunch of different versions of that. And no one is the best. There was several iterations that were each a little bit different, and some of them are desirable for certain things. That's also true. Heavily copied, but it's also not as ridiculous as Klon. Although I'm sure there is some high value, but
you can go buy a tube screamer from Sweetwater right now. Like you can buy the TS9 or whatever the fuck. Like, and even Ibanez is reissuing the famous ones. So like,
accessibility.
Yeah.
Or, variability for the
I just think like
other ones.
I think of my YouTube feed a lot when we talk about this stuff because I subscribe to a lot of guitar media channels and a lot of like stores that have YouTube presences. And one, I'm not going to like throw shade on who it is specifically, but I'm curious if people can guess. But it's like every month or so or 2 months, there's something like, this one is wild. Like this one is the most accurate. This one is now, and it's like a shootout video and like so-and-so can't pick the difference. And it's all very clickbaity. And like, that's just a bad internet practice that we all still tolerate for some reason. But Eric in the chat has it figured out. I'm so over that. And I just think, whatever.
If this is not to call you out, listener, but if that sort of title, right? If they can't tell, this famous person can't tell the difference. Oh my God, it's wild. If that's an enticing video title and that doesn't make you go, pass, let me find something interesting, then this is the next step. Like, please learn this. Like, that isn't actually interesting.
Right. I mean, it depends on one's own experience.
That's always happened, though. And under the right conditions. So about shootouts in general. The issue is which one you like better. I was about to say which one's better, but that's not the issue even. It's not which one's more accurate. And it's not which one's better, it's which one you like better. And that's often different. And a lot of times with audio shootout stuff, the right way to do it is to blind it, right? But also to have it, I mean, you'd have to have it in a particular song or something, right? Like
in a mix,
because there's two sides of it. Either one of them is better in one song and the other one's better in the other song, or if you tried to fit either of them into the song, minor knob adjustment makes it better. Is probably the right answer,
Good thing pedals have knobs, right? Good thing these things have Yeah. Right. Eric says good. Also, a pedal tricking someone isn't grounds for calling it good. And
Yeah.
that's totally it. Because, like, yeah, you could A/B this right over here. Right. My Mythos Mjolnir is a K style overdrive. And, like, yeah, you could plug this in next to a real Klon. And you could click back and forth and figure out which one is real or which one is more accurate or whatever. But what if you don't like the accurate one? Like, what if you don't, what if you like this more than the Klon? Then what? Yeah. Oh no, the sky is falling. Like, then what? Right. It's just like endless bullshit. That's kind of continuously frustrating. And I'm really curious about the media outlets that are, yes, they're like doing these videos as part of their business, especially stores. Like, don't confuse that these stores are selling to you.
Right.
And so that's a whole different thing. But, like, I find it really frustrating because they must feel this so much worse than I do. A bi-weekly free time podcast.
Because they literally have to do it.
Yeah, they have to do it. And they get viewer turnover more than anyone.
They have the data on the other side. So they wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't leading to the outcome that they want.
Yeah, and right, that and the sheer volume of stuff that changes over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep going on and on about this like every week, I feel like. But that's one of the things I hate about guitar. That and my shit's always dusty. Fuck.
My shit's always dusty. I knew it was going to come down to that. I saw that question in the notes and I was like, we're going to be fucking talking about Klons again.
Sorry. I didn't mean to,
fault.
But like it came up because like, yeah, Origin put one out and they're like, you should just see these thumbnails. It's kind of gross, honestly. And it has led me to unsubscribe from stuff Klons, because great, more that's how it feels, dude.
They should just have like an automatic email that nobody has to spend any time on, just every week.
Dude,
it's like a Google search for Klons and just
what's the new Klon this week?
It just comes into your email.
And like here I am, like I'm gonna like let's fully disclose. I just bought another K style overdrive like a week ago, and it just it's actually it's the warm audio one, and it's in the full size Klon box. Like it's in the big enclosure.
Oh, the warm guys, yeah.
Yeah, and like it sounds great. It sounds really great. And does it sound more like a real Klon?
Derek?
Who the fuck knows? Because how many like people have really played one?
I think the tone is really in the shape of the box, though, so they've got an edge.
It's like the shape of the box is like such an ugly, gimmicky thing, but it's also kind of like, haha. I will say the one, the warm audio one has a switch on the back for like a different bass response.
So they did a take on it. Yeah.
It's called the Jeff Beck mod.
Without the giant box, but.
Yeah, I mean, this is too big a box sometimes, but whatever.
I do like what the warm audio guys like, and that's the I am going to talk about this because that's a little bit the hypocrisy of what I'm saying, right? Because they're one of my favorites as far as audio gear goes, and they did like sort of like preamps and stuff like that for a while. They've got studio compressor, like rack compressors. They've got their microphones. They're all basically copies. I think they do a little bit of sort of modding to make them maybe a little more up to date kind of deal. But they also started out, one of their early products was, oh my God, I'm forgetting. It's like the Tone something or another. It's a mic preamp. It's not Tone King. Is that something else?
Tone King is an amp company.
Okay. It was, that name was floating around. Anyway, but anyway, one of Warm's early products was not a copy. It's basically like a preamp, and they put a few switches on it. There's a couple of things that you don't find on every other preamp, and it's a dirty style preamp. It's one of these sort of like in the old style where the sound gets a little messed up when it's loud. From back in the day when Neve was doing that and they were trying to be super clean in the 70s, you know what I mean? And now it's considered dirty. But it was their own thing, and they're still around. They're great. And then they kind of got into, it's a price point thing for them though. They're also not chasing things up a price scale either. They're taking gear that costs $2,000 and making it cost $500 or $800. And it's not exactly the same thing. And if you A/B them, there's a clear difference. But in every single case, it's like, but is it a difference that matters all that much in the course of your whole recording? You know, is that going to matter all that much when you're actually playing your guitar through it?
With the accuracy conversation, like as you approach total accuracy, it matters less and less.
So they're definitely on the side of it's pretty accurate as insofar as they are really kind of providing accessibility and finding a market niche, I think, for themselves.
Eric says it's not as good because you spent less money.
That's a pretty good title. I think that really kind of encapsulates the whole thing. He really did just take a 10 or 15 minute conversation and knock it down to like 5 words.
All right, let's wrap this up. You wanted a thing of the week and then roll on out of here?
Sure. By all means. I'll play a sound for thing of the week so that I can find it. I think I might have played that one on the last episode too. Oh well.
Who cares? It was 2 weeks ago. So my thing of the week. Do you have anything? Like you were away.
I have so much shit.
Is your thing of the week like go to California?
My thing of the week. No, you know what? I'll tell you. I'll pick an item. I'll pick a product, since that's what we sometimes do. All right. What's this? I'm gonna send this over to my other things. I have a picture of it.
Yeah. So this is just my thing. Okay, so my thing. This news link, this guitar.com link is just the only thing I could find.
Yeah.
But the Zach Sang show, I guess, is a podcast or a radio show or something. I actually don't know what it is or who Zach Sang is, but he interviewed Corey Taylor of Slipknot and Stone Sour, right? Yeah. And I had been seeing clips of the interview on my Instagram and stuff for like a week. And every clip that I saw, I was like, wow, this is like a really interesting conversation that they seem to be having. So I went and listened to the episode. I didn't really care for the rest of it. I'll be honest. It sounded like that like really crazy compressed radio sound of like talk radio. Yeah. It was like that. And maybe it is radio that they just like turn into a podcast. But the interview with
not
Corey,
having to hear that. Because of podcasts.
But this interview with Corey Taylor was really good. And it's like well over an hour. And they just talk about some really interesting stuff about the scene in Iowa and this, like how Slipknot sort of came up, right place, right time, real lightning in a bottle situation, as well as like what Slipknot is kind of responsible for in the cultural zeitgeist as like this band that was never meant to be as big as it is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to like spoil the rest of it, but there's a lot of really interesting takes, a lot of really cool stories and little bits about Corey Taylor history and Slipknot history and stuff in there. I'm not like a huge Slipknot fan or anything. Let me just preface this. Like there's like 2 or 3 songs that I like. It's just not usually my thing, but they are a really important band. And I totally recognize that. So this is a super cool interview on the Zach Sang show. And you can find it on podcast apps, I guess. So go look it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to say, first of all, this is not an endorsement of Elon Musk. I don't really need to explain any of that. But this is an entirely separate thing. But the rental car that we got out in California was a Tesla.
Yeah. Which one?
It was a Model 3. I don't really know that much about the different models, but it's a typical sedan. It's not like the first one, but
the affordable one, quote unquote affordable one.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I think this was kind of a pretty much baseline Tesla, which would mean that it's like a $35,000 car.
After incentives, but yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about Tesla is you add all these options on and the price kind of balloons. But anyway, they start there. Which makes it quite a bit cheaper than our RAV4. And there's a lot of appointments on our RAV4 that this Tesla did not have, like air-conditioned seats and the head-up display and just some other things. However, just the basic idea of what Tesla's doing with a car. First of all electric, it's here. Like if you, unless you live somewhere where it's not near a city or you live somewhere where it's very cold, like electric vehicles are here, get with it. It's such a great ride. It's different than an engine vehicle, than an ICE vehicle, as they say. And it's just such a nice ride. The way they work, it's funny, the Tesla actually, it's got this like computer controlled braking. So I'm almost never touched the brake the whole time I was driving it. Like and it feels, once you get used to it, it feels like the way an automatic transmission should have been always.
Oh, interesting.
Like if it's an automatic instead of a stick, there should be no coasting. And I mean, this matters more because it's doing it's recouping its momentum back into the battery kind of thing. But like you push the gas, that's how fast you go. When you let up, it brakes. So you're sort of deciding a speed with your right foot the whole time. And I mean, compared to a gas engine car, like the torque is unbelievable on electric. And I can feel that with our RAV4 because it's got enough.
Yeah,
it's got the
so does ours.
Yeah, because once they've put the motors right on the wheels, there's no gearing, and it is there. It is instant and it's unbelievable, the feel of it. And anybody who like is like a car head or whatever and is into like, if you knew somebody who drove a muscle car, like this thing would wipe them out. And it is like, we were in Sonoma and there's just wide open, long, flat stretches of road. And one time I had to like pull a U-turn and it was like, well, I have a Tesla.
Yeah, so, they put it in plaid mode or whatever it is.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, on TV, they make the joke about like insane mode and stuff. There's not really modes to this, but anyway, you just kind of put it in drive and then I just put the pedal on the floor and it's silent. It's just, and it was like fucking taken off in a jet. It was, and Marielle was like, nah! Like it was unbelievably. And I didn't like drive 150 miles an hour down the road. I just got it up to 60.
Well, it's just the acceleration. Yeah,
exactly. I just got it up to the speed we were supposed to be going in like no seconds.
No
and
time.
It was insane. And there's no squealing. There's no motors. It's gone. And it's just, so the control, the whole thing is kind of, when you first sit in it, it's very striking, right? Because there's no gauge cluster.
Yeah.
There's a big touch screen that just controls everything and then voice controls. The whole roof is glass.
Yep.
And they just sort of fade it all together and just feels normal once you're in there. The mirrors all just sort of move around. When you're backing up, they sort of point at where you want to see. And it's got all these sensors and it's just aware of its surroundings. And
unlike people at Muir Woods.
Unlike people at Muir Woods, right, exactly. It throws an alarm when some car near me changes speed really fast. Oh. Like even a car that's coming toward me slammed on its brakes for some reason, and the car turns red on the display and it flashes an alarm at me.
Because like maybe it stopped for a deer or something.
Exactly. Like it's detected that car changed speed really fast and it alerts me, And
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. And just the car has like an over 300 mile range, and when you route somewhere and you're going to have a kind of low battery when you get there, it just finds a supercharger on your route and says, okay, go here, stop for this long. We usually chose to stop for longer and just get food. But if you wanted to make a quick pit stop on a road trip, you could get some food for 20, 25 minutes. You're back up to 80% battery from nothing. It's unbelievable. It would take you that long if you were using gas because you'd be stopping and using the bathroom and stuff anyway. You know what I mean?
It's honestly a shame that like Elon Musk is tied to it.
Yeah, I mean, and my understanding
I saw there was one around here with a sticker that says like "Love the car, hate the guy."
Yeah, yeah. My understanding is that he's kind of most responsible for the one little stroke of genius of starting the company with a wild supercar that only the rich could afford, and then building the brand down from there into consumer affordability. Instead of the
I
other
remember
way
when the
around.
3 came out and it was like
Yeah.
a crazy thing that like, oh, it's a normal car price. And you see them fucking everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was really nice and it was only like $8 or $10 more than like a Chevy Malibu. And the operating cost is ridiculous. And electric cars, the maintenance on them is nothing. Like a full electric, they are easily going over 300,000 miles in their lifetime. The batteries last longer than that even. You can't go wrong. So anyway, I was excited to try it out.
The seats and so the whole interior is vegan leather too, because it's not like, I don't really care a ton about that, but like if that's something that matters to you, because it's technically superior to
it's probably
regular
lighter.
leather. It's lighter. It's easier to clean. It's
really
cooler.
nice.
Like, yeah,
it feels great.
It's softer. Like it's just better all around.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Good stuff.
Okay. So that's my thing. I thought it was very cool. If you have an opportunity, I would. They say that if you rent one, you will have a tendency to buy one. It's going to be a bit before we need another car. I'll definitely consider it, but it's going to be a while before. I knew that our next car was going to be an all electric. But by
our
the
next
time
car
we're ready,
won't be just because we need one much sooner than we're ready for that. But like, the one after, yeah. Good.
Cool.
Hey, welcome back to the Tone Control, everybody. Welcome back to the Eastern Time Zone, Justin. And
thanks. So hopefully sleep right tonight, and I should be back going, learning how to teach a class tomorrow. That's all my life now for the next 5 days. It's gonna be quite a weekend.
You can do it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's a little nerve-wracking. So anyway, all right, fun times. Glad everybody was able to join, and this was cool. So
we didn't mention this really too much, but we're in the general chat tonight, and I think this is something that we might do every now and then, not too frequently, but every now and then, just to spice it up, to let you non-Patreon supporters get a taste of what you're missing.
We should do it on giveaway, on whatever episode we do the giveaway at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll plan a little bit more ahead because I would like to give people who want to an opportunity. I will try to be better about that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, if you like the show, you know what to do. Bye. Oh, discord.io. We have a discord.io link. That company is dissolving.
Oh, shit. Really?
I heard last night as I was falling asleep at 4 a.m. I saw this news thing. Apparently discord.io got like totally destroyed by a hack, and they're just closing. So we'll need a new link to get to our Discord, but we'll put it in the show notes. We'll just put a regular link in there because you're just going to click the link anyway. So find the links in the show notes to our Discord, which is always free and fun. And if it's not fun, it's probably your fault. And if you want to support the show, do so on Patreon, which is patreon.com/thetonecontrol. And the newsletter, again, can't express enough how important it is you get on that newsletter to be part of this giveaway or be eligible for it. And all those links are right at the top of the show notes. So thanks to patrons who support the show and make this possible. Yeah.
And do your duty.
Do your duty. All right. Cool. I'm gonna play us out then by thanking the patrons, which are Nick Greenwood, Carson Ricketts, Matthew Fenslaw, Ryzen Wolf, Jamie Evans, Doug King, Big Daddy Doug, Professor Guitar Center, Centre. Oh, God. He did the Brian Gower of the Tone Jerks podcast, Andrew Walsh of Andrew's Alcove, and Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects. Thanks, everybody, ever so much. And I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks. In a tone control week.
One tone control from now.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye.